So I just wanted to kind of start off that I want this to be pretty almost conversational. So as things come up, raise a hand or just yell out. And I'm trying to throw up basically some speaking topics, and I'll continue to go. But what we're trying to focus here on is how the media industry is changing. And I think what we see specifically is that the media economy, I contend, is in the middle of a paradigm shift from an impression-based model, think of this as a Nielsen economy, let's say, towards a performance-based economy. Let's say it's a Google model, for example, based on the pay-per-click advertising of AdWords that has made Google the juggernaut that it is today. So before I begin, I thought I would just kind of do a few just questions in the audience for the audience survey. How many read the newspaper this morning? And action.
Like paper?
Paper. Who opened the paper? Okay,
Who plans on reading the newspaper yet?
Okay, so that's what, about 7 or 8 out of the room of about, what do we have, about 25? How many read that online?
Some.
Okay. How many tweeted this morning? That's more than read the newspaper, by the way. How many read the newspaper or tweeted from a mobile device? That's about almost 100% roughly of who said that they tweeted or read the newspaper online. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there because I think that this is one of the things that's going to, yes?
How many read multiple papers?
and something.
So let me ask you, what were the multiple papers? Were they all local? Were they international?
Globe, New York Times, Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
Financial Times.
Eventually I'll get to the LA Times.
You said the Guardian? The Guardian, yes.
Does getting up too early to have done any of that but what
I'm sorry, it's called breakfast.
But you know, just the point being, how many did one of these things while driving?
On the T?
Yeah, on the T counts. We need more connectivity though if you're underground in the Greenland. So you know, this is just kind of to say what we all already kind of intuitively know, that the ubiquitous nature of the distribution of content. And so what kind of is the problem now is how is the publisher getting paid for that? And there's a lot of different models, and I think that's kind of what we want to kind of focus on today and just have a discussion, because I think that depending on who you talk to, there's a lot of different opinions on what should be done. I think it really does fall down, I don't want to say a generational divide, but almost a philosophical divide that is pretty strong. And so let me illustrate the battle lines as I see them. This is a quote from Rupert Murdoch in about, I think it was about October. So this has to do with, as I think we've kind of heard about this, another thing that newspapers are very good about doing is reporting on their demise. You don't hear this from TV, which I think has to do with some kind of integrity of the newspaper man or woman. But so, you know, the Rupert just seems to be saying that, you know, we're giving it away for free and everything is cannibalizing, and why are we doing this? And you know, I think that this gets interesting because he's still on a CPM model. So if he pulls up a fire or basically a Chinese wall in front of everything, I mean, I'm sure they've done some models, but it seems to me that the financial impact of what that does to your impressions is very dangerous to play with.
CPM model?
Yes. Good, thank you. If I get into any lingo, please do exactly that. Cost per thousand, so impressions. And so, you know, that is an impression metric, much like circulation. And what I'll get into in a second is you know, in some of these different systems, it can be, you know, about as much of a guess as it is in Nielsen, saying that I'll measure 1,500 surveys of homes and see what they're watching. And so, you know, I think that you see that his stance is definitely combative. I think he's doing this on purpose. He's trying to force a conversation, and you know, he's trying to lead and say, look, we need to get into paying subscriptions. Now, before I get into that further, let's go to the other side of the coin. Sergey Brin of Google, I think as everybody knows. So one of the points that this is saying is that what they found was the more information we provided to our advertisers, the more money that we made. And that not only was their model based on performance, but giving, and this is why initially they brought out Google Analytics, which I believe was about 2006 in fall. They purchased Urchin to create the analytics platform, and that was free if you were an advertiser in Google AdWords. So this is kind of the point that you know, the more people knew about performance, the more they were not only just able to see what was going on, but to change things and perform things. So that the more information you provide the advertiser, the better they were to try and change their creative or other offers, those kinds of things, to maybe try and make it perform better. And then on the publisher side, I think one of the real genius of the Google model has been this perfect match, essentially, of if you consider Google as a publisher of pages from search, that they're able to match their inventory with their advertiser very accurately, you know, based on, you know, each search term becomes a mini market. If you're not familiar with that pricing structure, it works as an auction on each keyword term, all served through the Google system, so that there are no salespeople per se, unless you're getting into very heavy enterprise buys. But you know, this I think is the battle, and I think also one of the problems that that old media has. I'm going to use that term to describe Murdoch. I'll use new media for being Google. Is I believe that the larger problem here in the media world right now is that I had a meeting yesterday, so I'm not going to use specific terms, but let's say that as a whole, the problem is that print revenues are going down, while digital revenues are not catching up to replace the loss. From what I've seen on the client side of things, being one who measures websites, web traffic, and performance, etc., a lot of these people are sitting on gold. A lot of major publications, like your Globe, your Wall Street Journal, New York Times, have a lot more value than they know they have. And also, what the problem is, the advertiser doesn't know that either. And I think the problem is a understanding of web analytics and what they should be doing, what they should be looking at. And so I think that because Google kind of starts where in a digital kind of space, and the pricing model is based on a web analytic, and they've kind of structured some systems to enforce best practices. So, for example, at its base level, what I thought was very interesting when I first started working with AdWords back in 2005, 4 actually, was that even then they had hard-coded like some David Ogilvy best practices. So, for example, you weren't and still aren't allowed to put superlatives in like best unless you have, it takes you to a page that says that your number, you know, that their third party is qualified, Motor Trends has qualified you as really the best, you know, sports car or so forth. The other thing is that it makes they don't force you to, but it's very easy to set up split tests of different headlines on a certain keyword. One of the things that we found very interesting early on was if you split test in Google on keywords, those same kind of headlines, the winner would win if you put it into, say, the Globe. And so this kind of idea was something that was kind of the basis of kind of how we started. But it is making this information easy and attainable to the advertiser that I think is where the publisher is failing.